All right. Okay. Why do you bastards still have shit above your heads?
Are you sure I can't interest you in this hat? A pair of earrings, perhaps? A cheese knife?
Um, what sort of story exactly?
I suppose since you told me about you being a Grey Warden, it's only fitting for me to be as open. I'm originally from Orzammar, just as you are, I suspect. You don't have the look of a surface dwarf about you. I was a merchant there, too. Merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose.
Why'd you leave?
One day, a noble woman came to my store. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city.
Okay.
They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that.
What happened then?
Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tigers. They're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure. Something worth a little gold.
Isn't that stealing? You do something better with them than leave them. You stole from the thugs and the noble houses. How dare you?
You know, she said that exact same thing in that exact same tone. The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what they planned for me, and I didn't want to find out. Bribed the guard that was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
And now you are here. Fascinating story, thank you. You're quite lucky to have done so well.
I thank the stone every single day. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
You didn't mention your son in the tale.
Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think. And he was never quite right in the head. I took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the surface. It may not be my blood, true, but I think of him as one.
We left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again.
That was generous of you. Blood isn't all that important.
That's how I've always felt. As long as he's happy, so am I.
Yeah.
It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem to enjoy it, at least.
But where these goods came from, not the deep roads.
Look, we don't rob people, all right? We don't take things from people that need them. The things in the Lost Tigers, what good did they do lying there? I brought them back to Orzammar, where people could look at them and remember. It's not all that different up here. There are places long abandoned by the humans everywhere. Even more now with the Darkspawn coming.
You're an opportunist scoundrel.
Don't get all indignant with me. I hate the Darkspawn as much as anyone. People flee from the Blight with good reason, but they forget things. Things with value and meaning. leave them behind because they're frightened and desperate. And sometimes my boy and I, we find our way to these places before the horde descends, and we save these things. I take them away so the Darkspawn don't get them. Is that so bad? They destroy everything they touch.
I guess everyone has to make a
That's
living
what I tell
somehow.
myself, too. Ah, these are dark times indeed. Dark times, my friend.
I'll go.
Of course. Good fortune to you and yours.
Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask
Ask
you
away.
something. How'd you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You
Oh,
haven't forgotten already, have you?
okay. No. If you don't want to answer, then say so. Ha ha ha. Yep.
I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
You don't seem like the religious sort.
You're telling me I was banished to the kitchens to scour the pots more times than I can count. And that's a lot. I can count pretty high. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
Do you think Duncan took pity on you? Do you think this is better than being a Templar? Why did he want to keep you?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
I shouldn't have brought him up. Don't start crying, please. He was a good man.
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Very well. Okay, well, we talked to Pooch. We talked to... I mean, we can talk to
I
Pooch
once
again.
heard a really old legend about how the Hound Warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Jesus, Alistar. Why do you have to scare him so? Don't listen to Alistar. He's full of rubbish. If you've had it and you hadn't known it, it probably was tasty. I fed you another... He's full of rubbish.
Hey!
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I've exhausted everything here. Let's, time to leave the camp. I mean, unless... Because I could talk to Pooch and Alistar twice. Maybe I can talk to... What's your name again?
What do you wish of me?
I'd ask you
If
something.
you must.
Have you been hunted by the Chantry?
You are very cute to ask so many questions.
Evasive? Yeah, you're being evasive.
Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You found fun in it? You really had no trouble with them.
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
She used you as bait? Did you actually kill them all? Surely more would have followed. Yeah, that's what bait is for, dumbass. Did you actually kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Don't you regret hurting any of those men at all? What exactly? What is apostate?
You do not know. The zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The chantry sees any mages not leashed to the circle of magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations.
Oh, okay.
It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
Meaning what? We'll fight up at the end? You have no responsibility to those around you? If I were a mage, I might think the same.
I will note that we only ever defended ourselves. But if they wish to come for us, certainly. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
I haven't exhausted all your dialogue opportunities.
What do you wish of me?
So, I'd like to
If
ask
you must.
questions. Questions need answers. Did you grow up in the wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
You can probe.
Beg pardon then while I jump for joy. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? Curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
And you've remained unnoticed. But you kept going back to the wilds. I have a hard time picturing that.
For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
You must have looked quite the fool. Very daring, that sounds like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped, and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
Nice. That was quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
I have no idea. I'm not human. Touching like handshakes? Were you upset by all the bad touching?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Yet here you are. You can go back if you like. I guess the joke's on you then. Oh well. I'm glad it worked out this way at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
Jeez. I mean, I agree, but,
Yes?
there's like one more opportunity. I'd like to ask you something. So, life in the wilds must have been very lonely? Yeah.
At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
And did they speak back? And that seemed normal to you? But you eventually left? Did they speak
Don't
back?
be foolish. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
So you were a thief. I can't imagine I was pleased. What happened then?
Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken.
But you were just a child. You had a hard time picturing...
That is because I learned my lesson well. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning.
Okay.
Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
I feel sorry for you. You don't need to live that way any longer. They made you stronger, didn't they? Yeah, but you don't have to live that way any
Do I
longer.
not? I am still an apostate mage, even if I have left the wilds. The Darkspawn are yet undefeated. No, there is much that remains. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality.
Huh. Is there anything else?
Yes? If you must.
Okay.
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
An old woman, a powerful man fleck. Yep.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I don't even know there was such a thing. I've heard little of it. More interested in the truth. I've heard little of it.
No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting. Yes.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago was this? Yes, I've heard this part before. How long ago?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the Bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conobar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conobar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Wow. Okay. He sold his wife to another man.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead.
Damn.
Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
Ooh, okay. She spoke to spirits or demons. But she wasn't. But wasn't she married to a wealthier man? She truly loved him then.
That was not the point. Conobar had no honor, so she would not have him.
Oh, I see.
Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The
Okay.
legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Of course Flemeth would say that. Which she never invaded? Or he never defeated her? Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Do you believe her version? How is it that Flemeth survived so long? The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters? Aren't abominations usually insane horrors? An interesting... It sounds all hogwash. Do you believe this?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
How is it that she survived so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
Legend tells Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts.
What the
It
fuck?
may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
That's fucked up. Okay. Abominations and Saint Horrors.
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
An interesting story, thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago. There's nothing to really say about her. I loved her. What else is there to know? Keep your curiosity to yourself. She died a long time ago.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Okay, alright. So, now I think we leave. But I don't think there's much else to... I mean, Alistair,
What do you need?
you got any, do you want to talk about Duncan?
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
I just thought you needed to talk.
I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the blight and everything. I'm sorry.
No harm done.
I'd like to have a proper funeral for him.
Yeah,
Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive.
I mean, you have to recover the body though, mate.
I don't think he had any family to speak of.
Did he have any family? Well, what about the other Grey Wardens?
I don't know. I have no idea what the Grey Wardens do for their... when they fall in battle. Dwarves don't practice cremation, do they? How do your people honor your dead?
We entomb them. That's what we do.
I heard about that, now that I think about it. Their spirits return to the rock, strengthening the foundation.
Yeah,
of the
that's
time.
exactly what
It
we do.
sounds so strange.
It's not! Don't say shit like that. It's no stranger than burning your honored dead to
I
ashes.
suppose you're right. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little.
Anytime, Alistar. Okay. I'm playing Dragon Age Origins. Alright. Are you done howling? Pooch.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack.
What did he do
A
now?
putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables.
He ruined them? Does this mean you have to go without? It's the thought that counts. He means well. Can't be stinkier than normally that goes in. I think he thinks you need more meat on your bones. Why don't you share some food with his food with him? He means well.
Dirty Mungle can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again.
Don't do it again. You're a war dog, not a nursemaid. Oh shit. You heard the lady. It was a gift. Can't you just throw it away? You can't just throw it away like that.
I just did.
Oh.
I don't want it, you worthless fur bag.
He's... What? I got a dialogue option. Sweet. The dog is too smart for his own good. You are a mean lady. I think you hurt his feelings. Yeah.
He is certainly manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
Alright. If I've exhausted all the dialogue opportunities... trying to find a way through the earth. It's going to take you some time, you know that, right, Pooch? Okay. Alright. Well, good luck then. Well, jeez. I mean, I could just
What do you need?
be here for hours, just,
Ask away.
Or I could just use the same dialogue options that I already used. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Pardon? Gather your party and venture forth.
Indeed.
Yes.
She's a rogue. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Okay, where are we going? Where are we going? Damn it. Where the hell are we going? The Blight? The Pregnant in her kind. Actually, we need to travel to Orgrimmar. To, Wait, what? Yeah, we need to... redo all this.
Yes.
There we go. So, we're here. Which is... So we need to... Soldiers... I mean, let's go to Soldier's Peak, because why not? Because then we can do some shit there. Recapture it for, Duncan. And for the Wardens as well. And we can get it something for that.